Hello friends, after almost a month of waiting, I finally bring you the review of Chapter 14 of the Baki Rahen manga. In the previous chapter, we witnessed how Jack Hanma took control of the battle after an explosive start that suggested Kosho had chances of winning. We also saw a scene where a fighter from ancient Greece defended his bite-based combat technique, arguing that using teeth is not an act of cowardice, since both teeth and nails are tools that evolution gave to humans. The chapter made it clear that Jack was not there to play, but to quickly annihilate his opponent. For this reason, he employed several bites against his opponent. Kosho, unable to defend himself despite having blinded Jack in one eye, was attacked from all directions. At the end of the chapter, Jack immobilizes Kosho with a Jujutsu lock, but just before ending the fight, he releases the pressure and executes an impressive move. Jack bites directly into Kosho's neck, targeting a critical area and causing him a severe injury. This week's chapter starts with Kosho on the ground, severely wounded from Jack's bite to the carotid artery, causing him a deep wound. Kosho, still dazed by Jack's force, struggles to get up. Meanwhile, the fight commentator emphasizes the brutality of the attack, ruthless and without remorse. This attack would be lethal without immediate medical care. The audience, astonished and shocked, realizes that Kosho's situation is even more critical than what Nome faced in his fight against Jack. The narrator highlighted how Jack mercilessly targeted one of his opponent's vital points, showcasing his dangerousness and ruthless nature in what seemed more like a hunt than a fight. Kosho, in shock and draining of energy, was unable to counterattack. The commentator warned that immediate medical attention was needed in the arena. From the stands, Baki and the other spectators were so impacted by the scene that they remained silent. Kosho, trying to respond, desperately attempted to stand, supporting himself on one knee, while Jack watched silently. The narrator underscored the coldness and danger inherent in the underground arena duels. The audience clamored for medical assistance for Kosho and demanded the fight be stopped. However, the commentator reminded that the arena's rules prohibit intervention until a fighter loses or surrenders. Faced with this, Jack, determined to finish the fight, threw a powerful kick at Kosho, the impact so strong it sent him flying several meters across the arena. Kosho seemed defeated, completely at Jack's mercy, and unable to defend himself. Eager to end the duel, Jack delivered a powerful uppercut with his right fist, sending Kosho into the air. As he fell, while Jack approached unhurriedly, Kosho tried to stand, weakened by his injuries and loss of energy. Ignoring Kosho's condition, Jack leaped high, preparing his right foot for a decisive attack. He landed forcefully, striking Kosho's body and throwing him back to the ground. The audience and narrator were stunned by such a display of power from Jack Hanma. Everyone in the stands watched in silence, shocked by the scene, convinced the outcome was inevitable. This last attack seemed decisive. It was impossible for Kosho to stand up. The narrator highlighted Jack's relentless ferocity. Then we see Kosho completely motionless, seemingly unconscious. But despite all the damage received, this fighter refuses to give up, striving to stand. His cervical spine had taken a hard hit from Jack's guillotine kick, but still gasping, Kosho tries to recover. Witnessing his effort, the crowd screams for the fight to stop and for Kosho to be taken out of the arena. Kosho makes a supreme effort to rise, supporting himself on his hands in the arena, while the audience and narrator plead with him not to do it, to surrender and end his suffering. Meanwhile, Jack watches from above with coldness. Kosho manages to kneel again, holding his wound with his right hand. The narrator states that it has been a good fight, but it is time to conclude. Jack kneels in front of Kosho, as everyone calls for an end as soon as possible. It had been enough. The biting cyborg tells Kosho the narrator is right. It's time to finish. It has been enough for now. Thus, he asks Kosho to decide to end the fight while he still can, rather than letting it conclude on its own. The audience, showing astonishment and fear on their faces, begins to slowly applaud in a sign of respect for the fighters for the spectacular combat they had offered. However, Kosho takes advantage of a moment of Jack's carelessness to strike with his left hand, aimed at the giant's neck, blinding Jack in his right eye. Thus, the biting cyborg is plunged into darkness, losing his vision at least for the moment. Perhaps if Kosho had done this much earlier, he might have had a better chance of winning, because even if Jack becomes blind in the fight, he will still have the advantage since he is in better physical condition. Kosho can barely stand up and is losing consciousness as the minutes pass. It's interesting that Kosho seems to have forgotten he could cut nerves without physically touching his opponent, claiming he had perfected his technique to cut without direct contact. Perhaps he forgot due to Jack's attacks that left him dazed. Most likely that last cut was a move of pure instinct. What's most impressive is that Jack's reflexes allow him to capture Kosho's arm and quickly prepare his bite, opening his jaw to sink his teeth into his opponent's left arm. This move surprises Kosho. Jack then quickly turns his head, inflicting another deep wound, ending the chapter with a disheartening image for Kosho's fans. Now that I think about it, this is how the last chapters have ended. It seems that the Gaki enjoys adding a lot of drama to the story. But indeed, this chapter has been one of the most shocking of the series. Many of us thought Kosho could provide a more balanced fight against Jack, but we were surprised to see the beating the biting cyborg is giving him. In reality, we already knew Jack couldn't lose, this being his first significant fight in this new arc, and it was unlikely he would lose. However, I had a bit of hope that Kosho could make the fight more even. It's almost as if we're watching Jack's fight against Sikorsky again. In that instance, Jack dominated the Russian and, when he got bored, decided to leave the arena. I thought Jack might do something similar this time, but it seems he wants to end the fight regardless of the consequences. If you remember, in previous videos, I mentioned the possibility of Haneda throwing in the towel to stop the fight. That possibility still exists, but in this chapter, the presenter said the only way to end the fight is for one of the two fighters to surrender or become unconscious. So far, neither has happened. Kosho doesn't want to give up. Doing so would be a mockery to himself. After all, he promised his brother he would return without deep wounds. But as we've seen, he couldn't keep this promise. This chapter also confirmed that Jack wasn't fighting seriously. He was holding back the entire time, but without underestimating his opponent. In fact, he told Kosho that it would be best for him to end the fight on his own terms. I believe the next chapter will mark the end of the fight, possibly with Kosho losing consciousness, and thus Jack being declared the winner. Another scenario could be Haneda throwing in the towel, but that seems unlikely since the announcer mentioned that interference is prohibited. Let me know in the comment box how you think this fight will end. Do you think Baki or another fighter will come to Kosho's rescue? Who do you think could stand up to Jack to stop this fight? Regarding Jack's vision, I don't believe the damage is permanent. Baki also lost his vision in the same way but recovered quickly. It's not permanent damage, so there's no need to worry. However, I think Kosho has suffered the most severe damage, with very serious wounds that could be fatal if not treated quickly. This fight was like watching a man fight a bear with only a small knife as a weapon. Jack didn't even feel all of Kosho's cuts. It's curious that during the fight, Dr. Kuroha didn't appear. I thought he would be present in the arena to watch his brother's fight, but so far, it seems he didn't attend the Coliseum. Most likely, he had important matters at the hospital, but it undoubtedly would have been great to see him react to his brother's current state. Do you think he would have interfered in the fight or would have stayed on the sidelines, just as Doppo did when Katsumi fought against Pickle? It's interesting since Jack is a friend of his, and seeing him beat up his brother would be complicated for him. I just hope that Kuroha can help Kosho after the fight. After all, he is known as the Miracle Doctor in the Baki series. But remember to stay tuned to the channel for the next chapter. I don't know if it will be released next week, but I hope so, as we are in the final stretch of the fight, and it would be tedious to have to wait several weeks to see the outcome of this confrontation. And well, friends, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you liked it. I hope you have a nice day or night. See you soon.